All right, everybody. Welcome to Fit Over 40 as your host. I am a little under weather. It happens because I have been running ragged. So, word to the wise, get your rest, have some soup, and have great guests like Lynne Bowman. She is amazing. And when I saw her, I really wanted to have her on because I like stories. And I believe that stories inspire other people, and you never know who's listening, which is why I love podcasting. Because from what I've learned from this business is you never know who's paying attention, and she could inspire someone based on her story. Lynne has been featured at women's expos throughout the country. She's teamed up with actresses Deidre Hall, which I love because I saw that book and I've actually read it. So I was like super excited about this. So there were two books. Deidre Hall's Kitchen Close Up and Deidre Hall, How Does She Do It? She won several national awards as a creative director for Silicon Valley companies, a creative director for E&J Gallery Winery. I don't drink wine, but I do know that brand just from being out and about. She's an advertising manager at Redken Laboratories and has also worked as an actress, makeup artist, screenwriter, illustrator, legal journalist, wedding planner, and television weather person. She's pretty busy. Lynne has three grown children, two grandchildren, and is the president of the Pescado Foundation. And I probably mispronounced that, so I'll have her correct me. She and her husband have a small farm on the coast of Northern California. Welcome, Lynne.
Hey, and it's Pescadero, teeny little town. Nobody's ever heard of it or tried to pronounce it. You can be forgiven.
All right. So I always like to have people kind of take us back and bring us current. Tell us who you are, how you got here, and then I've got tons of questions.
Well, I've got some questions for you too.
Awesome.
But the story is a long one, Clarence, because I'm old. And
you're only old when we stop talking about you. Then you're old.
No, one of the reasons I'm out here is to stand up for old people. It's like, yeah, we're here and we're still doing stuff and we're still fun and interesting, hopefully. And I love being old because I'm like a lot of us. I wasn't sure I would get here, but I made it to old. So
okay.
I'm happy with that. And there were a lot of reasons why I wasn't sure I would get here. One of them was my ex-husband. As I think we kind of hit on that story. But and one of the reasons that I was particularly interested in talking to you was because of your interest in vets and yes. Your advocacy for vets. So that's part of the story. But when you read off all those things that I did, the thing is that we didn't have a plan. I mean, we just came out of school or came out of our homes, whatever, and we went to work because we didn't have a choice. And we took whatever was there that we could do. And when I graduated from high school in 1964, right before the dawn of time, for women, Clarence, there was nothing. If you trained as a nurse or if you wanted to be a airline stewardess, as they were called in that time, or a secretary, okay. But if you weren't any of those things, I'm sorry, or teacher, that was okay. And we were not even allowed in a lot of the best colleges because they weren't co-ed. Mm-hmm. And so, people, I watched a thing last night. I want you to watch it too if you haven't already. It's called 1971.
1971.
1971, and it kind of bills itself as a music thing. And I thought, oh, cool, that'd be fun to watch. But it's a history show, it turns out, and it's a series, and it's just all about what happened in that year that was so pivotal.
Okay.
And
I was born in 1971.
See, and we think we are living in this terrible upheaval time that is just also, 1971, Kent State, among other things.
Familiar with it, but obviously wasn't there.
Right. But so I would love for everybody who can to take a peek at that. If you didn't live through it, didn't have to live through it first time, take a look at it now.
Okay.
And the world looked very different to us in the 60s, in the 70s. And a lot of things were changing then. There was, and yeah, race is still an issue. It's an issue now, but oh my God, it was such a violent upheaval. And I was in Los Angeles. So back
Ooh.
to the resume, and in LA, it's a company town. It's all about media. And so my friends were all making movies, and my friends were modeling, my friends were, writing. So it was like, well, hey, I'm shooting a thing this weekend. Do you want to come? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Do you want to play the part of Mary Magdalene? Sure, I'll do that. It was like growing up in a mill town. Anything else, you just took the jobs that were there that
Yeah.
some might let you take. And so they end up, in my case, sounding a little more glamorous than some, but I also was really bad at a lot of them, really bad, and made a lot of mistakes. And I always kind of gravitated to being not in front of the camera, but behind the camera. It was more interesting to me to be the one waving my arms and telling people where to stand and what to do, instead
Turn
of being
on
the
the mute button.
telling where to stand and what to do. So, and that was how Deidre and I met. I was working for Redken Labs, and she was a brand new model. She'd come out from Florida, and skinny kid. I hired her off of her, the sheets that they had in those days, the head sheets. And she walked in, and we looked at each other, sized each other up, and just fell madly in love. And so we've been friends now since what, 1967 or 1968, something like that. And if anyone had told us then that she was going to be on a TV show for 45, 6, 7 years,
Uh-huh.
and I think she's logged more time in front of the camera than I think anybody in Hollywood. And she's still there. She's still doing it. I mean, could we have imagined that? No,
Right.
it's crazy, right? It's nuts. But yeah, and we did a couple books along the way, which was really fun. And you
Awesome.
actually read one? No, you did?
Well, yeah.
Or
Mhm.
looked at it? Yeah.
Well, because I really got a hold of nutrition. I started training in the early 90s, and I started making the link between people eating right to getting results. So I started looking at all kinds of things. And I just remember seeing the title when I was looking you up. And I said, oh my God, I remember that. Couldn't tell you everything about it, but I definitely remember reading it.
Well, I'm flattered.
Um,
Please.
yeah, so yeah, I know that nutrition is a big part of people's success.
Yeah.
And you've made a career out of showing people how to make fun in the kitchen. And I think that's really cool because a lot of times people think of eating healthy, they think of, oh, I'm eating salad, I'm eating
No,
cucumbers, and that's
I,
really not what it
I love
is.
salad. I love cucumbers, but I also love donuts and brownies and cakes
I
and
saw that.
all that stuff. So
Yes.
I am out here to tell you that you can have all that. You can
Uh,
have it. And it's great, but you just have to make it my way. That's all.
okay, well, we're going to ask you about your way. Well, why don't we just segue that? Tell us about your way of making brownies. Why is your way better? What do you do different?
Everything.
Yeah.
First of all, yeah, I don't deep fat fry anything. I bake
Yeah.
it. So donuts are baked.
Right.
Second, there's no sugar, no dairy, no nothing bad. It's
What do
all
you
good.
do to make it taste good then? If you're taking all the goodies that they're usually found with.
I am happy to list those things for you because it's really simple and the stuff is not complicated to make, Clarence. And I designed it, this latest book particularly, I wanted any 7 or 8 year old or any 85-year-old grumpy old uncle, granddad to be able to make the stuff. It's easy and it shouldn't be all foofy, kind of. I'm sloppy in the kitchen. I don't like to measure stuff. I don't keep a journal, none of that. And I don't expect anybody else to. So it's really simple. It's my brownie recipe is cocoa, nut butter, and I usually use almond butter, but you can use different nut butters. Um, and to sweeten, I use either monk fruit or allulose.
Ooh.
And they're both fabulous, healthy, natural. They're not artificial. They're natural sweeteners, and they don't spike your blood sugar, and they don't weird out your guts. They're great, and they taste great. They don't have an aftertaste. So, okay, so far we've got cocoa, we've got nut butter, we've got a good sweetener, baking soda, cinnamon, and magic ingredient. You ready?
Yes.
Pumpkin, right out of the can, canned pumpkin.
Okay.
What this does is the canned pumpkin and the nut butter do some magic, and you would think that it was butter and flour and sugar. No, it just makes this beautiful texture, and it's a vegetable. You're making brownies out of a vegetable and nuts. And if you're into nutrition, you know that cocoa is great nutrition. It's great food. Pumpkin, great nutrition, great food. Nut butter, hello, protein, great fat. So you're putting all the things that your granny here is saying, you ought to be eating this every day.
Uh-huh.
It's in a brownie, in a brownie. So I guarantee you wave this in front of any 6-year-old kid or, 75-year-old grandma, and people want to eat it, and they don't feel punished by eating it. And then the best part, you eat 1 or 2 of these, and you've eaten some. You're
Right.
done.
Right.
And again, you know this from having studied nutrition. Your gut goes, thank you, that was real food. I'm good now. Thank
Right.
you. And
And
you're
you can
not
enjoy it as long as you moderate and eat in accordance to what works for your body. What started you on this journey for making fabulous brownies?
donuts and cookies and cakes. Um, what started me,
All of your
uh,
regimen, but what
yeah,
started you with that?
what started me was I was diabetic. I was diagnosed as a gestational diabetic when I was pregnant with my first child, who turned out to be a boy, 10 pounds, and I had gained 60 pounds. And he was born in North Carolina. And the doctor then, and these guys were all men, we didn't have any women in the operating room in those days. So this is an emergency C-section. And he said, yeah, well, I guess you probably had gestational diabetes. Well, thanks for telling me that after the baby is born. Um, good job, doc. Um, so after that, I was told just to watch myself, and that you'll probably develop type 2 diabetes when you're close to 40. So 40 rolls around, and I'm going, well, don't you want to test me or something? And no, you're not overweight. You're okay. You look pretty healthy. Finally, I got someone to give me the blood test, and I was diabetic. I was over the line. So that's earlier, Clarence, than most people figure this out. Most people, because you don't have symptoms. There's nothing going on with your body that says you're probably diabetic, unless you have a baby, and you're not gonna. So you have to get tested, and nobody does, and particularly men. Love you, men, but y'all do not go to the doctor
You don't
unless
unless something falls off.
drug, exactly. Or when you have erectile dysfunction, which is what happens with diabetes. That's what gets guys finally in there to get tested. Okay, because now they care. But I had the good fortune of learning earlier than most people do that this was happening to me. So, and I was the single mother for things that we may or may not have time to discuss on this show, maybe next show. I was the very single mother of 3 little ones, and I was determined I wasn't going to leave them. I was going to hang in there with them. My mother had died when I was 18, and she'd been chronically ill. So I had seen up close and personal what happens to a family when there is someone who has a chronic debilitating disease.
Yeah.
And in my case, at the age of 18, my dad had gone on to, other things. My older siblings were gone. My dog had been given away. The house was gone. I was standing alone. My luggage was on the lawn, essentially, family, everything gone. That's what happens with chronic disease.
Yeah.
It breaks your family apart, and it breaks you financially. And people don't think about the consequences that crap that you're eating and laughing about, the sodas and the burgers and all that stuff, that is you deciding to become chronically ill.
Yeah. I like that term, chronically ill. So you're kind of taking a path that's leading you to disease.
It's absolutely causing disease,
Mhm.
and you are choosing to do it.
Correct.
And I think until we acknowledge that this is a choice, that, and a lot of people don't have a choice. There are people definitely who have hereditary diseases and who have accidents, things happen. But 80, 75% of the chronic disease in this country are Big Mac related. I mean, and Coca-Cola related. And the fructose that you're taking in every time you drink fruit juice or soda, whatever, is turning into uric acid and
Correct.
poisoning you.
Yep.
And I wish we would start talking straight about this. You
Why
know,
we don't have that conversation?
why don't we?
Yeah.
Because
In
there's so
the big
much money
picture.
involved. There's so much money involved. You know, look at how much has been spent on convincing you that Wheaties is the breakfast of champions, or that you know Coca-Cola is the most that um, you know, things go better with whatever milk. It's that, you know, that's all lies, all crap. But there are billions and billions of dollars behind it. There is an industry, big food, that it there are buildings full of people in New Jersey, largely, called craveability engineers.
Uh-huh.
These are the guys who make sure that the food is addictive.
Right.
And
So
the
you
more,
want more of it.
yes, and the more addictive it is, the more their shareholder value increases, the more money they make, and the sicker you are. And well,
And then they got a cure for you. They will send you a cure.
well, no, then you buy Tums or something. It's not a cure, but they're getting more money that
Right.
way. So that's big pharma. It's a different thing. But here's Granny telling you, if you just listen to me, right, and eat good food, and behave yourself. And what people don't understand is the food's better. It's better. It tastes better. It looks better. It has more texture. It has more fragrance. But we've been through now how many decades? It started about seriously in about 1970 with the
Yeah.
high fructose corn syrup. And it's been, I mean, you can just watch the health statistics nosedive as the statistics for General Mills, or, you know, and the same people who sold us cigarettes are, it's Philip Morris Company, are selling us food.
Yep. They just
Is that
skipped gears because that was
just,
something more palatable. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm. So, with all the different diet trends, do you count calories? Do you do macros? How do you do it?
That's a really good question. The answer is no. I just don't eat crap.
Do you
That's how,
ever splurge? Have you
oh,
ever just driven down the street and said, you know what? I eat good all the time. Yeah, that burger looks good.
you know what? I splurged yesterday, Clarence, and you'll love it when you hear what
What
it
is
was.
your version of what you splurged on?
In my little town, in my little bitty town in rural California, little ag town, there's a taqueria and one restaurant. And the restaurant is kind of famous in a way for just being this sweet, funky old place that is exactly the way it was in 1945. I mean, nothing has changed. The floor, the everything, it's all just like it was, including the menu for the
Oh
most
boy,
part.
the
It's the
menu was the
same.
same, huh?
Yeah. And they're famous for their cream of chili soup and
Ooh,
cream of artichoke soup, and their cioppino, which is a fish soup kind of, which is, I live on the coast, so
uh-huh.
fresh. But so I had fish and chips. I did. And to me, that's a splurge. To a lot of people, they're going, well, fish and chips, you know what? Um,
If that's your worst thing, man, you got it going on.
yeah, 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 yeah. And it was delicious. It was good.
Are
But
you a meat eater at all? Besides,
I
I
am,
mean,
I'm, I
What
am.
type I
I have
mean, total
I've,
red meat or just every
I've
little bit?
experimented. I have been at times. I've done a long time as a vegan. Well, not long by some. I did a year probably as vegan, really strict vegan, because I was experimenting. The only person I can really experiment on is me and my husband sometimes, if he wants. Um, so I've done vegan, I've done vegetarian, I would describe my diet as basically plant-based, but I live where people are it's California for Pete's sake. People are very conscious of regenerative agriculture and and growing things the right way. So literally right down the street, they're raising this gorgeous beef, happy cows, and they're grass-fed cattle. And my neighbor, and there's sheep and pork, and I have neighbors who have beautiful chickens that are laying little gorgeous golden eggs that are made from all the bugs that they eat. So I can access this beautiful food that is healthy as all get out. And so occasionally I have a steak. Occasionally I will have some meat. I'll have I eat eggs all the time. And I highly encourage people to eat a lot of eggs if you can get good, healthy eggs from
Yeah.
good, happy, college educated, well adjusted chickens.
Well, now we have the egg crisis where eggs are, well, it's funny because if you eat healthy all the time, eggs are normal price. But
Yeah,
people eat really crappy eggs. They're like, what do you mean it's $5? You
yeah.
know?
And I will pay and have paid $12 a dozen
Yes.
when
Yeah.
I wanted good eggs, and that's what they were costing. And the other thing is, I want to support my local farmers. I love these folks. I know them. I know how hard they are working to bring agriculture to where it needs to be, where it's not wrecking the soil. And you've read all about how the topsoil is disappearing. It's going to be gone
Correct.
in 20 years. Rah, rah, rah. Well, don't contribute to that. Don't
Sure.
help that along if you can help it.
Mhm.
So yeah, I do eat some meat. We raise food right here. We raise our own vegetable, a lot of our own vegetables. We have pear trees and apple trees and lots of berries and
All the healthy stuff. I love it.
all the healthy
Good
stuff. But
stuff.
it's not that hard, Clarence. And I really, and do you have kids? Are you raising
Yes.
kids?
Yes.
Okay.
And a grandson and another grandson on the way. So yeah.
Oh, congratulations. And lucky you. I've got two. I've got a granddaughter 15 and a grandson who's 16 months old. But what I encourage parents to do is, even if it has to be a pot on your sink, raise some food.
Yeah.
Parsley in a pot on your sink, that's some of the most nutritious, beautiful food your kids can have. And kids will eat what kids grow. If they're raising it in a little pot or in a little raised bed outside, they
Mhm.
will eat and they'll
Yeah.
offer it to you. And if they've cooked it, they'll eat it. And that's a big thing to them. And they want to be with you in the kitchen when you cook. They really don't,
Great.
especially when they're really young, they don't want to be waited on. They want to be doing what you're doing. If you're cleaning and cooking, they want to be cleaning and cooking.
Right. But it builds good habits.
Well, sure. And it makes everyone understand what matters. I mean, in so many other cultures around the world, the kids, by the time they're 4 years old, 5 years old, they're putting meals on the table. They're foraging, they're taking care of the animals. It's only here that we put our kids in this sort of hothouse and we drive them everywhere, and we want them to have baseball and football, and we want them to have choir practice, but they go to college and they have absolutely no clue how to set a table, how to wash clothes, how to make a meal, how to
Yes.
have a
I love that.
conversation at the table.
I agree with you. So you have a ton of energy. You seem really positive. What do you do as far as exercise? What's your daily routine look like? And you still
Well,
haven't told us what old is because you said you were old. What is old based on the number you've came up with in your head?
well, I'm going to be 77 in a month.
Okay.
And so that that's old. And if you get
If
back
you
to,
think it's old, it is. If it's
well, no, but let's redefine old.
right,
I mean, old, first of all, lucky, happy, I got here,
right.
right? A lot of people
Yep.
didn't.
True.
Yeah. And I'm able to do most of the things I want to do. I'm no longer riding my horse. She passed away. I'm still here.
Yeah.
Um, I miss riding my horse, other horses, would love to. But, when I look at what else I need to do and what the downside is, of anyone who's had a horse or loved a horse knows that you hit the dirt from time to time. And, they're big and they're fun and they're sweet, but, there's an element of danger to that. Um,
Absolutely.
so that's a thing I'm no longer right now doing. But I have a treadmill right here and I try and faithfully use that. I have a routine with weights that I do at least 3 or 4 times a week.
I
So
love this.
it's push-ups, sit-ups, and stretches.
Calisthenics.
It's all the stuff, it's just very basic crunches and um, the things that we need to do to keep ourselves a little bit limber. I have a little bit of a hinky left hip, and my physical therapist has given me some specific stretches to do, and they seem to be helping. And that's a thing, when you get to be a certain age, of course, they always look at you like, oh, well, dear, you're a little bit arthritic, and that's just, there's this the expectation that you're going to decline. And okay, I get it, but how about next year or the year after that? Not this year, you know.
Yeah.
Um, And by the way, are you reading about all of the work that's being done hooking Alzheimer's and other mental degenerative diseases with sugar and fructose?
Yes. Sugar and fructose is, they're finding as they study is linked to so many issues. I mean, the list goes on. And we all use it because that's just part of the day-to-day routine. We
No, we don't.
realize.
We do not use them, and you're not going to use them anymore.
No, I'm just saying in general. Getting
Okay.
people to get off sugar is like you need a major, you need an exorcist. People are hooked on sugar.
Okay. I'm so glad you said that because I'm here now, Clarence, and I'm
Okay?
going to fix it for you.
How do you fix people with their sugar addiction? Take a few minutes and talk about that. How do you get people to get off sugar?
Okay, and it's the same thing you do to people, and I know this because you have a little form that your uh, coachees need to fill out to work with you. And one of
That's
the things that
true.
it says
That is
is,
true.
have you made a decision that you want to make a change?
Right, right. Because if
That's
you're
new,
not willing to change, then what's the point? Nothing's going to happen. We're
right,
just wasting time.
right. So that was you, right? That was your form. Now, how would that not apply to quitting sugar? Have you made a decision that you are willing to change? That's all it is. And have you made that decision not only for yourself, but I'm talking about your family, how to avoid being that guy that I am going to have to wait on and take care of for the last 15 years of his life because he's on dialysis, right? And he's not able to do anything athletic anymore because he wanted to keep his Coca-Colas up, because he refused to look at the consequences of the way he was eating. He said, I'm not that overweight. I don't know. So I want people to understand that the downside is way down. It's steep and you don't understand it maybe, but it's true. And read about it, check it out, buy my book and you'll read about it. But the point is that sugar is more addictive than heroin. And there's all kinds of science behind that. I'm not making that up, and it's not a metaphor.
Right.
Sugar is highly addictive. And if I said to you, Clarence, yeah, I got a bad sugar addiction, but I'm going to cut back, what would you say?
Well, let's talk about that. How much sugar have you eaten? I approach that, it's like you said, it's like a drug. So you don't expect people to just say, all right, I just told you sugar's bad for you, you're just gonna quit.
Okay, but if I
There's
said to you, I have a pretty bad heroin habit, and I'm thinking I should cut back.
well,
What would you say to me?
here I would say we're gonna have to start somewhere with this. We're gonna have to start, we're gonna get you isolated away from the people who are contributing that, because that's just generally not a problem that person does by themselves.
That's
Let's look at
good.
your circle.
Right.
Let's isolate you. Let's talk about why you're doing it. I mean, I try to get into the mental space of it. A lot of times people will confess, well, when I do that, it makes me feel this, or when I'm on this, I feel this. And what are you trying to escape from?
And
And
if I
then,
said, if you said to me, okay, I have a bad heroin addict, Lynn, and addiction, and I need to get off of it, and so on and so forth, I could say to you, I have a substance, I have a number of substances that I can give you that are going to be better than heroin instead of your heroin. Are you willing to exchange your heroin for these substances that are not addictive? Would that be appealing to you?
yeah, absolutely.
Because that's what these things offer. I can show you how to make all these foods that you love: pasta, pizza, macaroni and cheese.
So
I
what
don't
are
know.
you doing with them when they're going through, let's say, a heroin withdrawal, since we're using that as the example, a heroin withdrawal? I've been around people who getting off some highly addictive drugs. It's not fun.
It's a good question. For
How you
about
doing?
3 weeks, people are a little weirded out by losing sugar
Sure.
because the body does have definitely has a reaction. And it takes about 3 weeks. And then people are quite surprised to find a number of things that happen. One, your saliva is chemically changed. So things begin to taste different to you.
Yes.
And especially as time goes on, the weeks after that, sugar sweetened things don't taste good anymore. They taste too sweet and they make you thirsty.
Right.
So if you are being serious about this and really quitting it, yes, you will have 2, 3 weeks that, a little bit, but you're not going to get sick. You're not going to throw up. You're not going to have any big problems, but you may feel some sort of unfamiliar things.
So you
But
set the expectations, like you're gonna feel this, you're gonna feel shaky, you're gonna feel
you're not
your
going to feel
body's gonna crave it.
you're not going to feel shaky. What makes people shaky is when they eat sugar and then they have a crash after your blood sugar then falls.
Right.
That makes you shaky.
Right.
But when you quit sugar, I promise you, all of a sudden you're going to feel good like
This is
you
true.
were.
They start to feel better and they don't want that anymore.
Yeah, but you are actually going to feel better. You're going to feel better. You're going to have more energy. Your blood sugar will be regulated. Um, and anyone who is watching their blood sugar, you can watch the numbers change.
True.
If you've been told you're pre-diabetic and you're aware of your blood glucose measurements, you quit sugar, and what happens is all the things that go along with sugar go away. And so what's left? Good food, really good food, healthy, and you will be nourishing yourself in a way that you have not, because when you're eating Big Macs and you know smoothies full of sugar and milkshakes and I don't know, donuts and all those things,
All
you're
those
not
foods.
you're filling up with non-nutritive food. You filled yourself all up with these things and you have not fed yourself at all. You've not nourished yourself. So you're not going to feel great. And if I don't have a TV, I don't watch TV, but occasionally when I travel and I'll open up a TV and start seeing the ads that are on the TV, it's hilarious because the first ad is going to be for pizza and the second ad is going to be for, some kind of hamburger treat or ribs or something. And then the third ad is going to be for Tums. And then the next one is going to be for, right, something that can make you sleep. Well, get a clue, if you stop eating the crap that they're advertising, then you won't need the drugs that
Yeah.
they're advertising because you'll feel fine. You'll
Yeah.
be okay. but you have to eat real food, actual food, which so many of us are not eating.
So tell us about your latest book, your latest project.
Well, I'm glad you asked. It's right here somewhere, right behind me. It's called Brownies for Breakfast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we live
And
in a different world now. People put things in brownies. Is that something that's in your brownies, or what are your thoughts on that?
it could be. I'm not selling it, but it's a thing. A lot of people are enjoying it and saying good things about it. And like I said, the 60s, honey, I was there the first time around. So been there and done that,
Yeah.
But what I want for people is beautiful food. I want you eating joyfully, you know. I want you loving what you eat and knowing that it is feeding you. Here's
Now,
the
do you coach people privately, or
no.
do you just guide them through your books? And do you do meal plans for people?
Do I do who?
Meal plans?
No, I
Tell us
don't.
about your service. Like, if someone said, "I really dig you. I really like what you're doing. I need help," what would you do for them?
I'd have to send them to you.
So you don't deal with any clients one on one.
No, I am happy to get questions from people. I would like to, I mean, COVID, I haven't been out on the circuit doing expos or speaking. Would like to again. I really miss that.
Yeah.
And if you've got some openings, let me know. But I don't coach people. My thought is that if you have this, you really have what you need. And I mean, people, weight loss. Okay. We haven't even hit the weight loss thing. If you eat real food, I'm trying to, and this, this book, oh, here's my egg bit.
Oh yeah.
And I took, oh, here's the brownie. It's Mimi's Badass Brownies.
I love
It's
it.
made in one
I
bowl.
love brownies too, so that would be
Everybody loves,
easy for me to follow.
everybody loves brownies. But my promise to you is that if you eat from this book, as I hope you will, I mean, just go through and make the stuff. And I don't ask you to eat so many grams of this and just eat one serving. Eat, enjoy. I'm a grandma, right? Sit down, eat, honey, have some soup. The stuff is all the kind of food that if you have 4 bowls of this soup, it's not going to be a problem. It's just going to be great because it's real food. Here's my kitchen.
Wow, very nice.
It is nice, but if you read the book, you read that it's not like a designer kitchen. It's all salvaged stuff. Um,
Okay. I like
yeah, and I like doing that. I like making something out of nothing. But that's also a thing that I teach is eat what you have. Open up your fridge, pull out what you have, and make it into something you want.
What are your
And
thoughts on dairy?
yeah, that's a tough one. If you know the cow or the farmer, yeah, go ahead. If you don't, that's a big no. And it's for people who don't have access to a cow or a farmer, go ahead and eat sheep's milk products or goat's milk products because they're a different protein than cow products. So the reason that I would encourage people not to eat actually trash cow products, let's say, cows, sort of cows who are badly brought up and badly treated and full of chemicals that they're given to the growth hormone and other things that they're given to produce more milk. Those are not things you want in your body, and they're not things that you want on the land. So when you're buying cow's milk products from factory farms, you're also polluting. You're contributing in a major way to pollution. So I would encourage you to do sheep's milk or goat's milk products. They are more agreeable to most people's systems, first of all, because of this different protein. And second of all, sheep and goats tend not to be factory farmed.
Okay.
So, and I mean, feta cheese is one of my favorites. I have a lot of recipes in the book that feature feta cheese, and the nutrition is there. I mean, the protein and all of the things that come with dairy come with goat's milk or sheep's milk. So that's what I would
Awesome.
encourage.
Awesome. All right. So tell me something. If I went into your house, what's the craziest thing I would see?
Oh, um, probably the bearskin rug from a real bear.
From a real bear. Now, is this
Yeah.
something you took down?
No, but people who know what I, talk about with the food and everything are a little shocked. My father-in-law was a hunter,
Ah,
and he would come back from Alaska or Canada with moose jerky, or
really? I've never
yeah,
had moose jerky.
which is actually it's wonderful meat because it's grass-fed, it's very
Yeah,
lean.
it's probably not as stressful as the cows that are running around here.
Yeah, wild game meat is wonderful meat for you. And when he passed away, he left these barrels, and we wondered what the heck was in the barrels, and opened them up, and it was furs. A
That's
lot.
crazy.
I know. So I have some furniture and some pillows made out of things that you would not imagine me having in my house. But there you go. I felt like they needed to be honored and used. At least they shouldn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So, how do people follow you and learn more about you?
Website, lynnebowman.com, really easy, LYNNEBOWMAN.com. And there's a place where you can send me a note, write, a question, whatever, contact place. And, I've got the Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and all that sort of thing. But I particularly like it if people actually make an effort to get in touch with me if you have a question or a concern. I love to hear from people who have used the books, and I love to get pictures of.
So, I'd
And
like
it's,
to get the book. How do I do that?
well, you can get it on Amazon
Okay.
or from your independent bookseller, and that you have to usually ask. You ask them for brownies for breakfast. They can get it from their wholesaler easily, and they will. But for me, please say, wait a minute, you don't have it? That's the most of it. It's blowing up. It's going crazy. You need to get some on your shelves. So
Yeah.
that's a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I love it. I love it. All right. So, I appreciate you coming on. Me and you are both going through a little issue this day, but I wanted to talk to you, and there's so much more. So I hope to have you back when we're in better shape. But
We're in good shape. Come on, look at us. We're
well,
fine.
I'm talking about just the sniveling and wiping our noses. So here's what I think I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna edit some of this stuff out. I think I'm gonna record the audio because the audio is fine. And then I'd love to have you back for I have a perfect topic for you, and I'll email you later because you gave me a great idea talking to you. And then so we'll just record the audio of this, and then I'll probably put it out next Friday.
Okay.
So
Well, up to you. You're the best
yeah, because
judge.
my nose is running. I'm like, I know I can't really see it, but I'm like self-conscious about it. I'm like, my nose is running. I'm like wiping my face. So I'd
Well,
rather
yeah.
just come back and do it again because I think a lot of people are going to resonate with you. So real quick, because I'll save this piece.
Okay.
Tell me what your goals are for 2023, business and personal.
Oh, to stay alive. Um,
That should be most people's goals.
yeah. And I have some more smaller books that I really want to finish and get out for people. Donuts for dinner, one of them,
Okay.
and a couple things that I think are going to be fun to add to the lineup for folks. And if you liked this one, if you like brownies for breakfast, I want there to be some follow on for you. So I'm putting more out. And
So if I go to your website, can I find a link to click it, say, hey, here's the book we referenced where they can get it? Okay.
yes,
And I
all
can
that.
find that on your website?
Yep. Yep.
All right,
Lynn,
very good.
it's easy.
All
Yeah.
right, very good. All right, Lynn. Well, I appreciate your time, and I have way more stuff for you, so I'll send you an email later.